Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, this is your first time listening to the Win with Dice podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about tabletop RPGs. We talk about the games we run, the games we play in, and all the wonderful people involved. We like to take a casual approach to the hobby and GMing in general. So hopefully we get to demystify the other side of the GM screen, so you can, either if you're not playing tabletop RPGs, start playing them, or jump behind the GM screen and become the GM of your own table.
Indeed. So this week we've got a couple of Pathfinder sessions to recap, catching up on the Unintended Consequences campaign. Had a whole lot of stuff happen in these two sessions, so this is going to be a pretty tense episode, actually. But before we get into all of that, we have to get to the most important part of the show, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week.
Yes, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week, brought to you by Ramon. So I was having a conversation with some friends while we were doing some Grand Saga playtesting. You guys haven't checked out Grand Saga yet. It's my own tabletop RPG, and I never talk about it enough, so I'm talking about it up front. Go check it out. Calvin will link it below. Yeah. But during that playtest, we were talking about a friend wanted to run a Lancer campaign. He's been brewing a Lancer, campaign for a while now. And he just hasn't actioned on it, or because he's has so much stuff to set up. But the tip is to just actually do it. No matter what you expect the players, or whatever amount of content you prepared to expect the players to go through, they'll get through half of it. There's classically GMs prepare way too much for actual play at the table.
I think it might take some time to figure out what you actually need to prepare, what you might not be able to improvise in the moment, but a lot of the time you'll probably find you ended up preparing too much.
Yeah. And hey, if your game session is 4 hours and you only do 2 hours, then you just tell them hey, cool, we ran out of the content I prepared. Let's play a board game or something, or hang out because you're playing with your friends. And next session I'll figure it out, right? You don't have to ever use the entire time slot. You just, whatever you've done, everyone's happy to play it. Don't ever think about you have to be oh, I gotta maximize this time frame. It's your friends are there to hang out with you. It doesn't matter what you're actually doing. And then if they're not your friends, then maybe you should figure that out.
Depends on the situation, unless they're literally paying you.
yeah, then that's different. I mean, if you're someone's paying you to be their GM, then you don't need us. You have a job.
Exactly.
go listen to somebody else.
Yeah, and your players will flim-flam, as they always do.
Yeah, I would 100% say that I prepare very little these days for the amount of, and I still feel like I'm running out of time during sessions. So
yeah, but that also does come with the group is going to be doing their own thing a lot of the time. So.
Yeah, of course. And I think specifically for Lancer too, Lancer combat does take a while. So, I mean, again, you could bank on just if you just put a combat down, it's gonna take up half the time regardless. So yeah, especially, and you never know what you might have an idea of what your game is gonna look like, but when it's actually being played, it's also the player's game as well. So they input a little bit on you put a little bit of their decisions, and it's all collaborative.
Indeed.
Yeah, so there you go, folks. There's your tip of the week. Don't worry about getting everything prepared, just run the game.
Exactly. All right, let's get into these recaps. So we've got a couple sessions of this ongoing story where we're dealing with some of the consequences of our previous campaign, which was a Pathfinder 2e conversion of Lost Mine of Phandelver. In this campaign, we have the human ranger monk, Bren Ravenshade, the cowboy wizard, Silrona, a half-orc barbarian, Kavo, a rat-folk alchemist, Slider, and the changeling druid, Teeks. So recently, we discovered that the party was being targeted by an old foe, an old enemy, one they accidentally created after dealing with some orcs that were harassing a small town. We kind of left one alive, and he swore vengeance, gathering up his forces, including some of our old our own personal enemies, uniting them into a single force against us. So we were on our way to try and confront this figure. And during that time, we were passing through, I believe we passed through Neverwinter. No, we were getting to Neverwinter at this point. So we're in sort of a conversion of the Sword Coast. It's not exactly the same, but we're using the same map, just with our own additions.
Yep.
So we were patching ourselves up after dealing with a bit of an event at the end of the last, session involving a spider in the cave. So as we were on our way towards Neverwinter, heading southwards, Teeks was doing some treat woundsing because she's like the team medic as well as the team mom. But Slider also has some medicinal skills. So he was trying to help patch up Bren, but did end up rolling a crit fail on that. So I think that actually caused some damage instead.
Which is pretty funny. Don't worry, I'm a professional. Wow, that's a lot of blood. Oh, no.
Yeah, definitely the other riders took notice of that. The other people on the caravan that we were on. But along the way, we did come up to sort of an event. There was like a white wolf just a bit off the trail. And it seemed like it was just waiting and watching us. We got the caravan to stop just to check it out, see if we weren't walking into an ambush. At which point we saw that the wolf was very hungry. It seemed like it was waiting around for someone to ambush or something like that, so it could feed its nearby young. So Kavo and Teeks had gone off to investigate this particular thing. Teeks did a create food spell. I forget what spell that I used, but I think it was one that I have in like my long journey spell prep list, so I can create some tasteless food.
Oh yes, the wolves can eat the gruel.
Exactly. So yeah, we managed to share that with the wolves. The nearby cubs came to join. Teeks and Kavo had a bit of a fist pump. Those two don't usually have like a big... Well, actually, no, that's not true. I guess Teeks is usually hasting Kavo.
Yeah, you guys are like the synergy to get Kavo all boosted up.
Yeah, it was nice for them to have a moment outside of combat.
Yeah, if I didn't blast people, I would probably be boosting Kavo up just because Barbarian do, right? Like,
fair.
You want the big numbers, here it is.
Exactly. So yeah, that was that particular day. The next morning, in the morning, Slider was mixing something together in a bowl, which Teeks was very curious about, and Bren just warned him not to blow up the caravan, which some of the nearby passengers overheard. But fortunately, we didn't explode, and we managed to arrive in Neverwinter, and then this is where things kind of kicked off, because the town guard asked us to step out of the caravan. Pretty much Teeks, Silrona, Kavo, and Bren, the party minus Slider, basically.
Yeah.
Kavo was suspicious that it might be some sort of shakedown, which is something we had seen far earlier, further south from Neverwinter. But it turned out that we were all under arrest. We were accused of murdering associates of the Severina household. We were accused by the nobleman Ken Severina. There was a warrant for a Thalum wave splitter outstanding, but listeners may remember that Thalum wave splitter was killed some time ago in the cowboy dimension.
The saddest times.
Indeed. So we were required to be in court by the next morning. Any attempts to flee would be punishable by death, or would be punishable. I mean, the punishment could be imprisonment or death. For the actual murder itself, it would be imprisonment or death, depending on what the prosecution was going to seek. Especially since this was a case brought by a private citizen. We were given these manacles that could be used to track our locations, and things seemed pretty dire because we were trying to figure out, like, who the hell did we kill that would have been a thing to arrest us for murder.
Yeah, it would have been so... I was like, oh no, I don't want the law to come here. I am the law somewhere else. I want to just immediately be outlaws and have to be on the run. And I was like, oh no, I just wanted to I just want to keep going. I don't want to stop at this place. So I was like, no. Tim promised me witches. I want to go to the witches.
Yeah, we're on a clock because we suspect that this enemy, who goes now by the name of Wyvern. We suspect that he knows about Teeks' parentage and that Teeks is like half sea hag, and that the next possible place he might be going to is to try to kill those sea hags. Like he tried to kill Teeks' father and kidnap Bren's sister and all sorts of things. So we were on our way there to try and stop him. But now we have been significantly delayed.
Significantly indeed.
So we did some research into who Ken is. Teeks tried to do some magic to see if she could get away with it. Basically, it was that she could do it, but they would immediately notice because he just tried to do some prestidigitation. We learned that Ken Severina is a nobleman with many businesses. The lawyers, I think we went near the courthouse, and Silrona was just doing some information gathering. And people were aware that he brought up some accusations, but not the full specifics or who Ken's lawyer might be.
Yeah, I was trying to find any information because, we didn't get anything. It was just that, we killed some of his associates. But, being adventurers, you kill a lot of associates. I mean, right? So we're trying to figure out which ones they were, right? So we could at least have some context, but nobody knew what was going on. I guess you're right. It is kind of like a fantasy medieval justice system where just show up. We know what you did. Okay. I couldn't do a Google search. Oh, man.
It's pretty fun. So later on that day, I forget the context of how this was brought up, but I think the guards were having their own conversation after maybe arm wrestling with Kavo or something like that. But
I think Kavo wanted to arm wrestle somebody just to kind of blow off some steam. But then they're like, "Oh, you want to fight? I'll take you to a fight." And then Tim, the GM, I was gonna say Tim, the guard. All the guards were like, "All right, let's take him to the Fight Club." From the movie Fight Club.
Yeah, we got brought to this through a back alley towards a bar where there were brawls going on. Kavo, of course, signed up for one and bet on himself, and he was easily able to knock out his opponent. So Bren later joined him for a 2-on-2 fight against another couple of opponents.
But then I'm pretty sure Bren got knocked out.
Yeah, Bren did get knocked out, but he managed to prevent himself from literally dying as Silrona pulled him out of the fight circle.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And I kept trying to figure out. I know Silrona asked a bunch of because it's a seedy part, because there's fighting and there's the guards here. So I was trying to figure out by talking to some local folks about who the associates might be, and we found out that the associates, what's the dude's name? The noble person again?
Ken Severina.
Ken Severina. So Severina was hiring basically just back alley goons for nefarious purposes and not really telling anybody what's going on. But they said that they never saw those guys again. So I was it was very, very much oh, is this dude just murdering people and not letting us know, pinning it on us.
Yeah.
Couple randos.
I think it was after Kavo had won a fight. I think Kavo and Silrona had tried talking to the guards a bit more, and they were able to get a bit more information. And I think we suspected they were related to the bandits we met a long time ago, before we got back into Neverwinter, one of our previous visits.
I think, did we find out then, or was it? I thought it was at the trial. We found it out.
Oh, I wrote it down, but that might have just been my suspicions. Okay, well then I will save more details on that for the trial, because there was another thing that came up that we didn't know about yet.
Bandits? Question mark.
Pretty much. But while everyone was focused on the fight, Teeks took that moment, because Teeks was freaking out. She had to go. Because, she in particular felt pretty guilty about creating Wyvern. She is the one that sent him away from his guard posts at the orc cave that they were hiding at. And then she's the only one who really cared when the party was leaving and wasn't sure what happened to him, but no one else cared. So she's been feeling this pretty hard, and her father just barely survived being attacked. So she's got a lot of emotions going on. So she wasn't going to stay in one place. but she did manage to shapeshift and get out of her manacles. And it took a couple of tries, but after she turned into a cat, she was able to sneak out of a small window in the bar and just ran into the city.
Yeah, I think there was like a chase scene too, where all the guards are just chasing you, and everybody who was left was like, I don't know who you're talking about, man.
It was extremely hectic. I'm very lucky I had a fly scroll from ages ago that I never used, because I tried to use that to fly over a river that ran through the middle of the city. I got shot at by some archers, so I had to drop the fly spell early, and then use one of the, because I can do that with my focus points, so I had to use 2 of them to shapeshift again. Or I had to use 1 to shapeshift again, I only had 1 left. But I turned into a shark, and then I fell into the river, and I just swam the hell away.
Yeah, now we gotta figure out how to find you. Well, I guess I don't know. There was a let's move on. let's figure. Yeah, let's just keep going. Sorry, I think I'm jumping ahead.
I mean, you did have to, because there might have been some parts I missed because I had to go for a bit, but when I came back, y'all were in a courtroom.
Oh yeah. So yeah, we finally went to nothing really happened. I think we just decided that okay, we're done with this Fight Club thing. Let's just move the camera to the next day when we went to the courtroom. I'm pretty sure, and so then we're there, and I'm not sure if Kevin, was it Kevin? Ken.
Can
I call you Kevin? So Ken was there, and there was one bandit. So there was one guy who like apparently was testifying against us as the witness, saying like, oh, we killed all of the dudes, and being the rat lawyer he is, deputy stepped up to try and represent us.
Yep.
But then the the prosecutor, pulls out a frozen corpse.
Indeed. So prosecutor Giles Hedgeworth revealed the frozen corpse of a bandit that we recognized from having fought them before. And the living bandit was one Leonard Severina, clearly Ken's son, who claimed that they had been looking to open up new trade routes with the recently opened mines from the end of the Lost Mine of Fandelver adventure, and claimed that the party attacked unprompted and tried to steal from him, which led to an argument as Kavo shouted out the truth of what really happened, and then this is when the frozen body was brought out along with the court wizard.
Yeah, so then the court wizard casted Speak with Dead.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the Pathfinder, if this actually calls Speak with Dead in Pathfinder, but there's the spells called Speak with Dead, which does what it says, and you get to ask the corpse one question.
We could ask, I think it was 3 questions.
Oh, okay. 3 questions. But there was a chance that, so we had to roll, I think,
yeah,
we had to roll a save?
The corpse was capable of lying. The corpse just had to roll a will save. And if it succeeded, it would be able to lie if it wanted to.
Yeah, which is wild. And then, guess what proceeded to happen? It critted on its will save and therefore was able to lie.
Indeed.
So the corpse, I think a deputy asked, like, I forget what the question was, but specifically, but the corpse basically just said, like, yep, these are the bad guys. They murdered me in cold blood. I was doing nothing wrong.
Pretty much. So the first question was the court wizard asking the corpse if it was killed by the people in the room, to which it said yes, obviously. And the prosecution was like, that's it, we got him. Send him to the principal's office. Then Kavo brought up the idea, and I think Deputy asked the question of, like, was the corpse part of a group trying to extort the party? But that's when the corpse saved on its will save and was able to lie. And then, of course, there was some rabble in the court.
Which was not fun. Like, it rolled a natural 20, which is very, very, like, so, oh my gosh, I was, like, so upset.
That damn corpse. Kill him again.
I was like, I know, like, I don't know what the corpse will save was, but, like, that 20 was just like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
I just want to get out of jail. I don't want to just start flinging fireballs. Like, please, I'm a man of the law. Just want to go home. Yeah, but so I think we salvaged it because we were like, okay, wait, let's just. This can't happen twice in a row, right? I think we objected. And I was like, listen, I talked really smack about the court wizard. So I was like, I'm still Ronan, I'm better than you. And I know that the spell the corpse can lie.
Right? So Roma pointed out that flaw in the spell. So Deputy was able to convince the judge to allow the question to be asked a second time. And which time the corpse crit failed its save.
Yeah, which, thanks, Dramatic Dice. I really appreciate it when you show up.
Exactly.
I'd rather it be while I'm on the other side of the GM screen, not when I'm a player, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so the corpse revealed that the bandits were all actually hired by Leonard Severina. The prosecution did try to claim that we must have done something to the corpse to make it change its answer, but we were still I say we, but Teeks wasn't there. The party was still wearing the magic manacles, and we ended up being declared not guilty. Although Teeks was still guilty of escaping.
Yeah, but that's fine. I think we got pardoned as soon as we. I actually don't know. I missed the next session, but also I think while all of this nonsense was happening, I keep forgetting Quack's character's name. Slider. I was like, Stinger? I was like, that's not right. Slider. Slider was working very diligently to get us, I think it was a written pardon from our, I forget which person it was for.
So Slider was working on forging some documents to give diplomatic immunity from the town of Luskin.
Luskin, that's what it was.
Yeah. Or at least in Teeks' case, since she was also specifically not there.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, is it from Luskin? And those were forged? I thought those were real.
No.
Oh man. I actually, as I think Solrona will think those are real, because Solrona is basically substitute for Ramon. He has a horrible memory.
Those were definitely forgeries.
Oh, true. Did not know that. Sick. All right. Thanks,
so
Spider. Appreciate it.
Severina gave a glare to his son as Leonard tried to make a hasty escape. Teeks, for her part, camped outside the city and then was trying to find a way to reconnect with the party. She did so way back in Vandalin. We met this person named Sister Gorell, who is part of a secret organization called the Harpers that keeps an eye on corrupt individuals in power. So she just sent along some information about what was happening, because that seemed to be very much the case here. So that's, I don't know, a thing going on in the background, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess this is the corruption.
Yeah, look at this guy. But that was the end of that particular session. And I kind of wished Teeks didn't freak out, because it would have been fun to be in that courtroom, but she did what she did.
Yeah, that's okay. You gotta do what you gotta do, right?
Indeed. But yeah, and then we moved on into the next section, which you weren't there for, and Cavo's player wasn't there for initially as well. So Rhoda and Cavo were basically high-fiving after they got out of that court case, and then they both got whisked away to the cowboy dimension, which is essentially what happens to Silrona when you aren't able to make it for a game.
Yeah, it turns out I guess I took Cavo with us.
Yep. So yeah, Teeks was hanging out outside the city. Slider and Bren were outside the courtroom still. Bren made sure to get the horseshoe that was left behind by Silrona teleporting, because that is his anchor and his location where he'll come back. And then Bren had to explain the cowboy dimension and Hi-Hat Harry and everything to Slider, who took some interest in wanting to travel to that dimension. He also took some time to study and analyze the horseshoe. When he discovered that he might be able to make something similar, but it probably wouldn't have the same magical effects.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So yeah, they did end up heading out of the city, where they were able to run into Teeks, who was hanging out there. They all got caught up on everything. Cavo's player was able to join the game, so he teleported back in. And then it was just the four of us. In the meantime, Silrona was just trying to keep things organized with the new sheriff. because of everything that happened in the cowboy dimension.
Yeah, catch those episodes, later. It was wild, and Roman is very stressed out about it. So.
Yeah, it was a stressful adventure. But yeah, so we got back to a caravan. We were going to keep heading southwards. I wrote in my notes that we were going to Thornhold, then to Waterdeep. And then there is a new place that Tim added to that map that's essentially where we suspect the hags are hanging out. Where we also suspect Wyvern to be waiting for us. So the journey was going to take us a few days. We're traveling, doing some... Teeks did a bit of a healing spell on Kavo, just I think he still had some injuries from the fights before. Same for Bren, who was getting treated by Slider, but Slider succeeded this time. So yeah, we keep heading southwards, and we end up near this swampy area. That's sort of where the path gets a bit closer to the ocean coast, and this fog set in pretty quickly, along with these strange sounds that were described as like a pulsing elephant's roar. It was very creepy, very moody, but the silent...
Pulsing elephant's roar? Wild.
Yeah, it's a very distinct sound. But yeah, it was super creepy. And then we were suddenly jump scared by a tentacle emerging from the fog, grabbing a passenger from the caravan and pulling them out.
No! It's M. Night Shyamalan!
There was like a scream and like a crunching sound in the distance.
Oh god.
So yeah, we were in a situation where there was a whole lot of thick fog around, so we couldn't see very far. So Bren, as he got out of the caravan, he moved forward and he saw something in the fog and he fired at it with the gun, and I don't think he was able to hit anything. Kavo moved in next to Bren and saw a second creature, and he was able to chop at it and free the traveler who had gotten grabbed, and then we were sort of into a fight against these like shadow tentacle creatures who were attacking us from the mists.
Shyamalan, for sure.
Exactly. So yeah, Slider got in there, he threw a bomb, which sort of briefly illuminated them. Teeks went in to heal the injured passenger, because, that seemed very important to do. But then Teeks got entangled by the creatures that we found were mist stalkers.
Stalkers of the mist.
So yeah, we were doing battle with those. One of them managed to immobilize Calvo with like this thickened mist effect. Bren helped Teeks get unstuck, but Calvo was a bit too stuck in there, so he got himself out while also using his dragon breath attack. Teeks tried using the Aqueous Orb spell that I set up a while ago, but I didn't have a lot of luck with it because these things were hard to see, and they were also very agile, apparently, so they were able to avoid my spells. But yeah, it was a very interesting fight because there was a lot of moving through the mist and trying to see where the creatures actually were, and then if we could actually target them with our abilities, and then they also had the ability to make the ground difficult terrain in some areas.
Yeesh. Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah. But we did manage to make it through. Yep.
Could use a big Buster Man with some magic missiles.
Right? Oh my gosh, you would have been super helpful there because you don't have to roll the hit with your stupid magic missiles.
Whoops. So it's just like in paperwork. like, oh man. All my friends are okay. Everyone's being like, grabbed by tentacles.
Yeah, it was a cool fight. We did manage to make it through. As we managed to take them down. Calvo got a pretty good kill in there as well. And then we reconvened with each other because we could only really see each other. And then we moved back to where the caravan was to see that it was missing.
I mean, the whole caravan had just got nommed.
It seemed, Bren spotted some tracks, so it seemed like they rode off without us.
Yeah, okay, true. I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, which entirely fair, but as we followed those tracks for a few hours with no sign of the caravan, we kind of put together that the tracks that we ended up at were incorrect, and we actually ended up going further into the swamp instead of in the correct direction.
Oh no! Even spookier.
So Slider was mad at Bren for leading them the wrong way and started an argument as we tried to find some way to rest. Because it was getting pretty late in the day, so we decided just to like camp out as best we could. And then the next day, Teeks had a spell called Show the Way, which basically helps to give some guidance when we're going somewhere.
Yeah.
So I used a spell slot for that to help us like not get too stuck. But unfortunately, I can't spot ambushes, which is what we ran into, as we came across 2 massive zombie brutes and a creature called a bog mummy.
Oh no! Damn it! That's what those things sound cool. Why does all the cool stuff happen? I'm so mad right now. Spent all the other last session just fucking watching everybody beat each other up in a bar.
Yeah,
Everyone's fighting cool zombies and magic tentacle monsters, and I'm like, Sorona's just doing paperwork.
doing taxes. Yeah, Slider's player said that he thought the thing said bog mummy, like M-O-M, and I was like,
like it's the mummy of the bog.
And I was like, no, that's what Teeks is.
Teeks is a bog mummy.
But yeah, we got to fight into these zombies, and they had, I'm forgetting, one of them had like a really like cool ability that.
Oh, is it the breath of the bog?
No, no, I found it. So the zombie brute, it had the description of unkillable.
Oh, it's unkillable.
So yeah, it didn't have the usual weakness to slashing that zombies get, and it got resistance to all damage equal to its level. So yeah, it was pretty brutal. But indeed, the worst part was the bog mummy, and this sort of bog rot infection that it gives off.
Ooh.
So
sounds like you need a dude who casts fireball.
God damn it.
Damn it.
I mean, yes. But, yeah, so we had to get some really good hits in because the brutes were weak to crits. They just weren't weak to pretty much anything else. Mm-hmm. But Kavo got infected with bog rot from the bog mummy. And you remember that when I was talking about the Crown of Dragons game, and one player got infected with like this mental dream thing that wouldn't go away?
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing here.
Oh no.
We actually had to double check the rules on like curses and diseases, just to make sure we're doing this right. But yeah, essentially the bog rot would not go away until the person was treated with like a remove curse spell or something similar. Essentially, they would just continue to be sick and have to roll the new fortitude save every minute.
Every minute? I just read it. It looks crazy.
It is.
Stage 2 is 3d6 of just negative damage.
Yep. So essentially, the way it works is 2 stages on this disease. And for stage 1, you have to roll a new save every minute. And if you succeed, then you're fine for another 60 seconds. But if you fail, you go to stage 2, which is where you take some damage, and then you're clumsy. But that's only for a day. Well, only for a day. But the next day, you're going to continue to roll saves and either stay at stage 2 or go back to stage 1, where you have to keep saving every minute.
Which means you'll just go back to
Exactly.
stage 2 eventually because, like... Oh, so who has Cure Disease? That's like a... Isn't that like a... It's definitely in your spell repertoire, right?
I don't have remove curse, though, is the problem.
Oh, wait, it's a curse?
Yeah. It's a curse
Wouldn't you
and a
have to
disease.
It's a curse and a disease?
Yes.
Oh, it has to be treated with remove curse or a similar effect. Huh. Yeah, GG, alright.
So yeah, Calvo was kind of stuck with that. Slider did have some potions that were able to like delay the effects for a time or boost his fortitude saves, but we couldn't really like do too much permanent with it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. That'll be fun. for people to deal with, I guess.
Not a problem at all. But we did have to keep going because we needed to find someone who could help, like, cure Kavo. So we traveled on for a bit further. Bren picked up another set of tracks. Kavo threw up a bit, and Slider gave him more bottles.
Just like, bleh. Here, drink this. Okay.
Yeah, just basically more unlabeled bottles. Just drink this, don't worry about it. But eventually during our journey, Kavo and Teak spotted something tucked into a tree. Getting closer, we saw the dead body of a human male, and there was a box at his feet with a book inside of it. And we stopped to take a look at what it was. It turned out to be a vampire hunting kit, which had a dagger, a stake, all sorts of undead hunting gear, and a journal that described a story of traveling to a town named Miststone in searching for a vampire. The vampire hunter was named Jingo, the ferocious death dealer, although he didn't seem to be a fan of the nickname part.
Interesting, okay.
Additionally, I don't think any of us recognized, like, the name of the town, Miststone. But yeah, we sort of came across this thing, and it was related to something that Tim had posted a while ago on his Twitter about just, like, giving one of the players a vampire hunting kit. I think it was, like, the first one to reply to a certain tweet that he had made.
Oh, yeah! I guess here it is.
So yeah, I got distracted reading through the journal because I thought it was pretty cool. You'll probably be able to see it, like, next time we play. But there was some stuff in there, including an any tool, which Teaks shared with Slider, because he does more crafting. But yeah, so it seemed very likely that this guy was killed by vampires, considering he was talking about a vampire tracking him in the mist.
Oh, so there's a vampire out here.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then we went a bit further and we came across the small town of Miststone, which is in sort of like a foggy valley area. We can see, like, a whole lot of people with torches walking around. We were on the outside of this town, although a few people did seem to take notice of us. And according to Jingo's story, like, they're not very trusting of outsiders, so who knows how that was gonna go. At that point, Calvo's player spent a hero point to recover from his sickened condition, so he just kind of, like, threw up a whole lot. So he's probably still a bit woozy, but he spent that point so he could get out of his condition.
Oh, okay.
But Teaks helped clean them up, and Slider gave him a pat on the shoulder. So it was at this point that what I thought was a very interesting part of the session happened, because Slider started asking for details about Wyvern, this orc who we believe has been tracking us. And then Teaks explained the whole history with him, how we came across that orc encampment, how Wyvern was left alive, and we didn't go back to get rid of him. And Slider called us amateurs for leaving witnesses. And then he blamed us for what happened to Fallum, which Teaks and Bren did not take very well.
Ooh, no! Shit, that hurts.
Yeah.
For real, though.
But the thing is, like, he's not wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong, man. all this pain from one orc. Dang, man.
Yeah, Teaks was about to go for that new dagger she just found, but then she was like, no, I can't do that, because, I mean, for one, he's right. And also, this isn't going to help. But yeah, Slider and Bren were arguing about it. And then Teaks just, like, forced a change in topic, like, because they have to figure out, like, what are we going to do next? Are we going to stay in this town, or are we going to keep moving forward? Because the only way to keep going where we're going is to go through the town. And there's clearly a vampire here, so I don't know how long we want to stay.
True.
But that was about the end of the session, so we were still trying to decide what to do. I mean, me as the player, I want to stop here and see what the hell's going on with this vampire. But Teaks already, like, busted out of, manacles and stuff to get going on this journey to stop Wyvern and save her sea hag mom. I don't know if Teeks is gonna have the patience to like wait for this or like stay a whole night here.
It's true, because like, you know, it was meant to take the carriage right there. It seems to be like every time we try to get somewhere, it's always like, nope, here's some other shit.
Which could be a wyvern thing, to be honest.
Yeah, actually, I never thought of that. Like maybe, well, I mean, it'd be a far stretch if wyvern planted like those fog creatures or whatever, shadow, the Shyamalan creatures,
the Miststalkers.
Miststalkers, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, cause I don't. That's the thing about a guy like Wyvern, this mastermind who's hiding in the shadows. I don't know what is his thing and what's just stuff that happens to us because we live in this fantasy world.
Yeah, no, we're just all like wondering, like, oh, is this just natural causes or is this premeditated? Like, we don't know.
Because I mean, like, he got in contact with like some very dangerous villains, like High Hat Harry and the dragon cultists and those goblins that lived in the forest. All people we've talked about before on other episodes of the podcast, of course. But
yeah, but it's just like crazy because I guess we don't really know how deep his pockets go, right? Like how many people he's got organized to mess us up.
Exactly. Like he's motivated. He has time and motivation, and that is if you gave us that, we could do a whole lot of damage. So who knows what he's been doing.
But yeah, I guess that's the end of the recap. Yeah, we have to see what happens next. Sonora might join the next session, so
please do. We could use those fireballs.
Use a little bit of help there in the damage department, but yeah, interesting. I'm wondering like how, if we can actually just get out of this, like find our way out of the place, or if that vampire will just attack us because, you know, Tim thought of a vampire. So
I mean, that seems very likely. I forget how far we are from our destination, but I think we're over a day from it still. Especially because we had to stop and walk, and that slowed down our pace.
True. Not gonna lie, Sonora probably wants to kill a vampire. Like, does sound pretty cool.
I do too. I want to fight a vampire, but like, I need to find a way for. I need to find a way to justify the thing I want through the character.
That's true. It's true. It's always the problem.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm very excited for this, and I'm really enjoying the sessions. I do wish I was in that courtroom because I can't think of another time when I've been in a courtroom in a game. I don't think it's come up before.
It's true. Maybe next time I run a session, it'll just be courtroom drama.
Yo, that's the last thing I need.
It's like the whole campaign is just like.
Well, I mean, if it's a different campaign, sure, but like if we're talking about the pirate game where I'm literally a pirate, I don't know if whatever court I go with is going to be very beneficial to me.
True.
But yeah, that was the end of that session, and I want to know what's gonna happen next. I want to fight this wyvern guy. I'm wondering though if we're gonna end up leveling up again because I gotta prepare some spells for this fight. We might. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
I think we're pretty close to leveling up. So depending on how this whole vampire town thing goes, we might end up being another level higher before we get to the Sea Hag location.
Ooh, that would be cool.
But yeah, that was it. Is there anything else you want to add for this recap?
No, I think we're good here. Just if you're caught the end of this, thank you for listening through all this, and don't forget to like and subscribe. We never say that ever. So
yeah, we really gotta say it up top more.
Yeah, we really do, just so we can get those numbers up so YouTube can be like, you did it.
Congratulations.
But regardless, you don't do any of that stuff. Thanks for listening. Calvin could just do the outro, I think.
Indeed. Well, let's rock on into the outro. Thanks a ton for listening. As was said before, please like and subscribe. And while you're around, please check the description of this video. There will be a link to the Grand Saga TTRPG Alpha Playtest 1.0. You can give that a look it over, try making a character if you want, try playing it if you want, and just send us an email, a message on Twitter or Facebook, or through our comment box on our website of how it goes for you, and yeah, let us know, or leave a comment below. Or comment on one of our community posts, which you have now. If you're hearing this episode, actually, if you check our community posts, you'll see one where I posted a Twitter poll, or where I posted a YouTube poll, although this one on Twitter as well, of what game is going to take up our Thursday night time slot since Gotham Knights is finished. I think we're just going to get one more episode of Gotham Knights out the week that this comes out. And then next week, we'll be playing something new, so go check out the polls. Right now, the options are Splinter Cell, Sims 4, Control, or Phoenix Wright. So yeah, if any of those sound interesting to you, just give them a vote, and then I'll tally up everything from YouTube and Twitter, and we'll figure out what we're playing next. Or you can check out the other streams that are ongoing, like Mass Effect 3 or Skyrim, which will last forever.
Yeah, you'll always Skyrim episode 1000.
I'm sure we'll get there. I don't know if I'm allowed to call it like first playthrough anymore because I've been playing like 50 episodes of it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know when something becomes your second playthrough. I think it becomes your second playthrough when you have a second character. When you just start fresh. That's like your second playthrough.
I don't know if I could. I like everything that has happened too much.
Sure, there it is. There's a Skyrim story. Just where it ends. I mean, that's fine.
Guess. Also, if you're looking down below, we've got links to all sorts of awesome third-party Lancer community creators, so please check out their stuff. Also, I want to shout out the Untold Stories project, where I'm at on live streams on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, playing Bowman in the Freedom League Dart game, and the Ruby Gemstar and the Gemstars game with our magical girls in a fantasy world. Whole lot of stuff is still happening in the Freedom League Dark game. We're still on Anti-Earth. We're still dealing with evil versions of ourselves and good versions of our villains, which is a lot of fun. Additionally, they've also started the Heroes of Tomorrow podcast. The first episode of that went out on the 31st, so check it out wherever you get your podcasts from. Nice. And be sure to leave some nice comments and reviews. I think that's everything. Well, since I'm recommending things, I'll also put a link below for the Kickstarter for Chaotic Good, which is a comic book that was written by Alex Thomas of USP fame, as well as illustrated by Stephanie Lin, who I don't think I've mentioned before, but she's also around the USP community, and we've hung out before. She's cool. So I will have a link to that Kickstarter below.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I got a quick sneak peeky preview of it, and it looks like a lot of fun, so definitely check that out. And I think that's everything. I think that's everything. I'm trying to remember if there was something else, but I don't think there's anything else. I think we covered everything. Anything else that we should shout out, Ramon?
I don't think so, man. I think that's it.
All right. Well, for all of our mist-stalking GMs and players out there, just remember to keep on winning with dice, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.